Being Jamaican, I think all of us as Jamaican, even the bougiest of the bougie, we have that resilience in our system. Like that's our DNA. We are fighters. Like we gonna go hard and we gonna get what we want. I think that's what most of us have in common, and like that's what holds us together. Like we are fighters and we're persistent. So I think that helped. As well as as Jamaican we don't take nothing serious. Like we don't take nothing serious. We always a laugh. So when situation happen, sometimes we just like a laugh. Even when at the serious situation, we just gonna be like, Jesus Father, I trouble this,
Right. Welcome to Transition and Triumphs, where every journey is a story of growth, resilience, and new beginnings. So today we're here with Jay Kendra, and I'm your host, Onika Lewis, coming back to you again with just another podcast. So today we're just going to dive deep into, Jay Kendra's story on how she began her journey in the Navy and just her overall experience and, just her being female in the military and just guiding steps and just giving us advice and everything. So, Jay Kendra, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you stepped into this journey.
Okay, so I'm originally from Jamaica. I'm Janelle, by the way. So yeah, I'm originally from Jamaica. When I came to the States, I started by like working in a restaurant, a Caribbean restaurant, and in Harlem, New York. And restaurant was bomb, like good food. The restaurant itself is nice. Like the managers, they love me down. Like them, they love me and rate me, and I like them as well. I was the supervisor in that restaurant, so it was good, and I was getting good pay as well. So, but I wanted a little bit more. I was like, I don't plan on doing this for the rest of my life. So I had to think about how would I transition. And I was thinking, if I'm gonna do something, it has to be something that's going to be worthwhile and like benefit me along the way. So I was like, it's either I'm gonna do something in the healthcare field, which more than likely nursing, or I might just join the military. So when I thought about like doing nursing, I'm like, I would have to pay for my schooling by myself, and that's expensive. And it has to be. I just think people, because my sister's a nurse. I think if you're gonna do a nursing program, you have to truly want to do it, not just do it because I'm trying to make some bread. Because the schooling, hardcore.
Yes.
So I was looking into like the military, and at first I was like, I think I'm gonna join the army. And I was doing some research. I'm like, okay, they're gonna pay for school. There's tons of benefit, paying for school, citizenship, what else? I could pass the GI Bill down to my kids, free healthcare, and I'm like, okay, the military looks like the way to go. And somebody told me about the Navy, and when I weighed the pros and cons between the Army and the Navy suited my lifestyle better, and I like the fact that I would be traveling for deployment. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna join the Navy. So that's how we got there.
Okay, so I love your little background story and I love how you started. I'm also from New York, but I'm from the Bronx. So
I'm from the Bronx too. I lived in the Bronx. I just worked in Harlem. Yeah.
that's the only thing I missed about transitioning because I miss New York so
Me
much.
too. I love New York. New York has a warm place in my heart. Even the Bronx, because they be throwing dirt on the Bronx, but
Yes.
I
Oh
wouldn't give
my
it up.
gosh. So it's
I
just
would not
like
give it up.
I won't. And every time people ask me like, "Oh, okay, where would you want to like go back?" If I'm like, I'll probably go back to CT or like maybe somewhere New Jersey. It gotta be close to
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
because
yeah. It has to be close.
no, it's like all you live like your grocery store them and everything like that. I miss my little
The
food. Like
convenient, and you just
right
hop on the
now I'm in
train.
Texas, so it's like you can't really if it gets up tomorrow morning and say like you want some dumping that banana on a store or something like that. You have to go cook it. There's nothing like that down here, so I definitely miss it. What inspired you to join the Navy? Like, were you scared about swimming? I remember when I started my journey, I'm like, Lord, I can't swim, so it's just gotta be the Army for me because I can't dive in no water, nothing. Have you thought about the Air Force? Did you think about the Marines?
Oh no, I did not think about the Marines. What? That one did not cross my mind. I'm like, no, I'm not eating no crayons. I'm kidding. But the Marines did not cross my mind. It was either Army, the Navy, or the Air Force. And in the Bronx, my recruiting office was on Fordham Road, right? And on Fordham Road, that building, it had Army, Marines, Navy, Air Force. So I was like, I already said I'm not going to do Army. And again, Marine did not cross my mind. So it was Navy or Air Force. So I'm like, okay, let me go by the Navy office and hear what they got to say. They outlined everything. They're like, oh, swimming is going to be an aspect. I'm like, damn, I can't swim. They're like, oh, they'll teach you. I'm like, okay, like what do you mean by teach? Like they're like, you're gonna learn how to swim. You gotta learn how to swim by the end of boot camp. By the end of basics, you gotta learn how to swim. They're gonna teach you. I'm like, okay. But again, what sold me with the Navy was the fact that I would be traveling and seeing the world. So I'm like, man, I love that part of it. I like the fact that when I'm going on deployment, I'm going to see different pieces in Europe. I'm going to see different countries in Europe. I'm going to see different countries in Africa. Wherever they want to take me, I'm ready to go. So that was a big selling point for me. So I made like a list of questions and I asked my recruiter all of them, and she's like, I know I'm gonna see you again. I'm like, I'm going over Air Force to see what's good, to see what they gotta tell me.
Yeah.
Girl, I left the building and I went over Air Force. The door was locked, and I'm like, all right, God, enough said. I'm going with the Navy.
Okay.
So yeah.
How long was the Navy boot camp?
It was 10 weeks. I hear it's now 9. Good for y'all. Good for y'all 9 weekers. But it was
What was the
10
most
weeks.
challenging part about it?
The swimming, like everything else, I'm not saying it was easy, but everything else for me was doable. The most challenging part was the swimming and the run. I'm 5 feet. I don't know if God just said, yo, you never make for run, but I can't run. I cannot run. I cannot run. And I can't swim. And I remember, like, I was in boot camp and I'm like, God, what am I doing here? I can't swim. I can't run. Like, what am I doing? And regarding the swimming, I kept going back over and over and over and nothing. And then, like, I was talking to God and he was like, you should do a fast. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go on a fast. And when I started that fast, I want to say maybe the second day in the fast or maybe the first day. I don't remember. But it was one of those days early in the fast. I passed the first part of the swimming test. And I'm like, okay. And then the swim instructor that taught me, he, like I said, he was a godsend. He worked with me. He worked with me. He motivated me. It was good. And eventually, by the end of before I want to say before I had to do my running test, I completed swimming, right? So because we had to do like you had to be if you failed swimming, you couldn't do OPFA. OPFA is the big running test, right? So if you fail swimming, they're gonna push you back. So I'm like, God, I need to pass swimming before OPFA. I need to. So I did. I completed that. It was hard, but I got through it. And then regarding OPFA, I failed that. I failed the running. And they were like, okay, you're gonna have to bike. And I'm like, God, if I can't run, at least make my bike. Me no offer a bike. Let me bike. And again, I got through that. I pushed through it. That was not easy either, but I pushed through it, and
So
here
what
I
I
am.
want to know is, so sometimes you see videos on TikTok, Instagram about, the Navy basic training. So is it true that in the like boot camp that you jump off the ship and then you have to swim back up?
It's not a ship. but you have to basically, yeah, you have to jump off. You gotta jump off the rail, and you gotta swim back up. That was the hard part for me because I'm like, okay, I don't have an issue jumping, but after I jump and I come back up, like, what am I gonna do? Because I can't swim. Like, what to do? I don't know. After that part, after I get back up, then what? So that was the issue for me. But yeah, you're gonna have to jump. You gonna have to jump, girl.
No.
Yes.
And that should stop me from choosing A because I'm like, oh no. I'm not gonna jump because I scared of it.
But we gotta. The thing is, they're preparing you. If something happens on the ship, you're gonna have to jump off that ship in the water. So they kind of preparing you if like something's supposed to happen. This is what you gotta do.
So how did like basic training and everything going through your process, how did it prepare you for your overall career in the Navy?
Okay, so I can't speak on my overall career because I'm a junior sailor, right? I just got started. I finished basic training last year, and I just this is my first command. Like, this is my first job, so I've just got it started. But mentally, I think it prepared me. I can't lie. My command it's chill. Like, they're not so rah like in boot camp, but certain things they're still looking out for. So like military bearing. My petty officer, she called me out on that. She was like, "You need to have military bearing," and I'm like, I'm a polite person in my civilian world. Like, what is she talking about? But there's certain aspects that you just gotta get in your head regarding the military,
Yeah.
right? That you don't learn in civilian world. So that was kind of what I had to carry with me and keep conscious of, and I still have to do that to this day in my command. So I think that was a big part for me. That's what I took away in boot
Transition
camp the most.
period. The
Huh?
transition period of
Right, the
like
transition.
civilian to military. I think it's
Yeah.
difficult for me too. I feel like just the lifestyle of just like coming and having people just yelling at you, and you just like, I don't see what I did, like, and why do you have to state it in this tone? So me, I think the most challenging part for me when I had to do my transition was not to be sensitive. Coming and said, who are these people talking to? Like, why are
Yes.
you talking to me like this?
You cannot be sensitive. Like, you just have to have a thick skin because they were yelling at me. I don't know the place, right? And I'm short, so more than likely I'm at the front of the line because you line up to go anywhere in boot camp. Because I'm short, I'm at the front of the line and I'm supposed to be leading. Where am I leading you to? I don't know this place. And they're like, "Where are you going? Where are you going? You goofy." And I'm going. So I had to like keep check off. Oh, it's just like my mentor. He told me it's just a mental game, and I had to keep reminding myself like it's just a mental game. Like, don't let them get under your skin. Just do what you came here to do. Yeah.
Okay, can you share a memorable time or a story about a bond that you formed with someone during your like military career?
Um, a bond. Let
Yeah,
me think.
like a battle buddy. Because for me, when I went to basic training, I had a one special battle buddy, and well, I had more, but one that came insane. Like she was like my
Okay,
rock.
I feel you. Yeah. So I want to say one person in particular. Can I say her name?
If you want to, it depends.
Okay, so one person in particular was she go by Bailey. Bailey was my homegirl in boot camp. Like, she's way a lot of them they're way younger than me, but she's one of them who I think she has a mature mindset, and I respected her outlook on things. I had different people too who I like speaking to in boot camp, and they kept me saying, they're like, "Girl, we gonna get over it." I had some people who sometime like after taps or during taps rather, we would be praying. We would be praying together, having our kumbaya moments, and I can't speak on one person in particular, but Bailey was my girl though. Bailey was the homie.
Yeah.
And then I had my bunkmate Pittman. She was cool too. Um, There's a lot. Like, yeah, I can't speak on one person in particular, but there was a group of us who we just kept each other sane, man.
There's always like a group. I think you always
Yeah,
find your people to like keep you
exactly.
pushing, and because
Yeah.
my one of plenty of my girls was, her name is Bagaloo, and she's also from Jamaica, and she kept me sane. She'd be like, Louis, don't worry about it. She'd just be like, keep pushing. We went to church. She's like, come on, girl, we're going to
Yes.
church. And
Church was so important. Like,
yes,
I would advise anybody who is watching, if you have a chance to go to church, because when that's when you can let your hair down as well. Like, you can be free in church, go to church. If you in basics, go to church, man.
So now I want to ask, like, did you have a mentor in the Navy, and how did that impact your growth, if you did or if you didn't? I didn't have a mentor when I first came in the military, or like someone to like guide me. I had my uncle to tell me like the ins and outs because he did 20 years of service. But just
Okay.
somebody who was there presently, especially as a female, because there's difference between how you experience stuff from a male's point of view
That's
and
facts.
how
That's facts.
females experience stuff from a female's point of view. So I never had a mentor up until now to like guide me and show me the ways, especially with like sensitivity, and especially like what you said with military bearing and everything like that. So did you have
Right.
a mentor?
All right, so before I went to basic, I had a mentor. Me and him, we still chill to this day. That's a homie. He's out now. He's retired, but he was a first class when I was going to boot camp, and he walked me through the process. He basically like tell me going into boot camp, you gotta have like thick skin. You got to keep your head in the game. It's all a game. Like, it's not real. Don't let them punk you. Don't let them play you. And he just got my mind right. And I respected that a lot. Outside of that, he still guides me. He's like, what's going on? What's going on in your career? Let me know what's going on. Da 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 da. I'll shoot things off him and, ask him for his advice in regards to things, just to get a different perspective. And he will tell me what's going on. I do think it's important as a female to find a female mentor as well, because, like you stated, we see things differently, we feel things differently. One of my mentor is my first class, who is currently in my command. She Jamaican as well, so she understand. And I would like to say I joined the military at an older age, and me and her, we the same age, so I think she understand like certain aspect, or she experienced things as an older female,
Mm-hmm.
so she can definitely like guide me in a way that doesn't feel as if she's coddling me or it's in a childish way. Like, it works. I think she's a godsend, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, she's one of them. Like, I'm like, for my first command, I thank God that she's here, because she definitely helped.
Okay, so speaking of like your first command and all of that, what advice would you give a service member looking to find a mentor?
Advice. I would say, like, you going into your first command, you don't have to choose a mentor right off the bat. They're gonna come to you and they're gonna be like, oh, you can do, because my command, they're like, oh, you could do speed mentorship. And honestly, I'm not one of those people who really be like, oh, I need a mentor, I need a mentor. It's good to have, but I would go for somebody who you're comfortable with, somebody who's relatable. And I know that part is hard to find, and somebody who knows their job, somebody who is willing to give you feedback. Because something that I've experienced, not a lot of superiors or people of a higher rank, they don't really care to give back to junior sailors or junior service members. Find that person who is willing to give back. They have a good head on their shoulder, they're respected, and they'll just give you advice just for free, just because they love doing that. Cling to that person and make them your person. And my advice is to also do a lot of volunteering. Like, do volunteering in your command. That's how you gonna know people. Interact with the first class. Don't be intimidated. Interact with them and just get to know them and then be like, oh, I would like if you could be my mentor and teach me how I can be ahead in my career where certain things is concerned. What should I be looking out for? What are some pointers? Give me some advice. You have people who just will want to do that.
So,
Yeah.
what's the best advice you have received when you first joined the Navy?
Best advice. Best advice. First receive. Um, I wouldn't say this is really advice. I want to say it's more of a I don't know. I'm gonna tell you the story. I don't know right now how to describe it, but when I was in A school, right, I wanted to be first in the class or second because you're gonna automatically get ranked up, right?
Mm-hmm.
I fell third. So I came third in my class. And the chief who taught me, right, on graduation he gave me an award, and like I'm like, I got an award for like third, and he's like, no, you didn't get the award for being third. You got the award because you're a hard charger. You got the award because you're yourself. Just continue being you, continue being authentic, continue asking questions, and go, just be yourself. Be yourself. You will see how far it will take you. And I'm like, damn, I got an award just for being myself, you know
Yeah.
so just be
So there's
yourself.
people trying to like, always want to like, it makes sense that you want to like strive for excellence and stuff, but they act totally different from who they
Yeah,
are and lose their identity and wanting to
exactly.
be, the best. But just relaxing and just, putting in the work and the effort and just having people see that, and that is enough, is wonderful.
Exactly. That's enough. Like, being yourself will never fail you.
So we're gonna dive deep. All right, what advice would you give to other Jamaicans considering a career in the military? Especially since them always talk about, oh, we don't want to fight no white man war, nothing like that. I don't want to deploy
Oh
and
God.
everything like that.
That's how my grandmother. My grandmother was like, then why you choose the career there? Why you never do what your sister or your cousin do? I'm like, girl, I want to bust guns. Okay, I joke. I didn't say that. But advice, like, do it. Do it. Because the truth is, I know I said this for the people in internet, but mega said the truth is, like, a lot of people who are in the military, they never yet fight war. Like, they did their entire 20 without being in like a combat area or being in the line of fire. Like, they did nothing but sit around their computer, do their job, and go home. So like, you don't have to worry about the war aspect. I mean, things is gonna happen, and for the most part, I think they do prepare us for when situation goes left. So just pay attention to what they're preparing you for, and don't be fearful. My advice is to join and just do as much as you can and get as much as you can from it.
Looking back, how has being Jamaican shaped your overall experience, both the challenges and the triumphs in the Navy? Like, how has, your background and who you are, how you grew up, shaped your, decision to join, shaped who you are in your transition period and just you being in the Navy now?
Um, that's a good question. I like that question. Being Jamaican, I think all of us as Jamaican, even the bougiest of the bougie, we have that resilience in our system. Like, that's our DNA. We are fighters. Like, we gonna go hard and we gonna get what we want. I think that's what most of us have in common, and like that's what holds us together. Like, we are fighters and we're persistent. So I think that helped, as well as, as Jamaican, we don't take nothing serious. Like, we don't take nothing serious. We always a laugh. So when situation happen, sometimes we just have a laugh. Even when at the serious situation, we just go like, Jesus, Father, I trouble this, and we a laugh. Like, so I think that helped because you cannot take, oh my
Life
God,
so seriously.
you cannot take life so serious, especially the military, y'all. It's like high school.
It is.
People think it's so this big strict entity. It's high school. You gotta laugh at the different cliques in high school. Like, yeah.
Yes, and just
So
have fun with it.
just have fun with it, and just like you have a Jamaican background, you already know you got that sauce. Like us Jamaican, we just have it like that. I don't know what we just do. Me can't explain it. We just have that little something about with. So just be Jamaican. Don't try to be any again. Authenticity. Don't try and be anybody else.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So you talked about wanting to travel. That's one of the main reasons why you chose the Navy. Have you been deployed yet?
No, but I'm not sure when. I think I'm supposed to be this year. Fingers crossed. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm not lying. I'm looking forward.
Okay. How would you describe your leadership style and how has it evolved during your time in the Navy? So you were a supervisor before you joined,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously, you joined the Navy, and as you rank up, futuristically, obviously there's going to be a time where you become a leader. How would you define your leadership style?
All right. So for now, all right. So as a supervisor in the restaurant, it says a Jamaican restaurant. Jamaican people have hard to deal with. So as a supervisor, it was a lot of headache, right? But we still had to do our job. Being in the Navy now, I can see things from a different lens where my supervisors are concerned. I can be like, girl, I know what you're going through. I know what you're going through. So I think I'm a bit more empathetic towards them. I try not to, even if things don't make sense to me, I try not to make their job hard. I will question things though, because that's just my nature, but I try not to make things hard. And at this point in my career, I'm following. So I try to follow good leaders and take notes on their leadership skills and how I plan on doing that for the future, or what I would do different from people who their leadership ain't really up to par, things that I would do different. So when I become, that person, I'll be good to go. Yeah.
Okay. How would you approach career progression opportunities in the Navy? So, like, give us a little rundown on how you guys get promoted. Just by like, what do you guys have to do to get promoted? Is it by points? Like, is it by work ethic? Like, what do you guys do to advance your careers? Or like, I know in the military, like, if your work ethic is like that, if you're about that life, and you go out and you show them that, hey,
Yes.
I'm riding in the dirt, hoopla,
Yes.
and all of that. They sometimes can waive you to like become the next rank a little bit sooner than what the regulation might state. So
Okay.
for us, it's like E1 to E4. You can get waived depending on like your work ethic, depending on what your command team thinks you are, and then after that, it's all by points. So what is it like with the Navy?
Okay, so currently, I think this is like a new rule, like E3s or E1 to E3. Yeah, E3s, you gotta wait like 3 years before you get put on to E4, right? But my advice is while you're waiting, do as much as you can. Like, you want to show your supervisors that you can work beyond your pay grade, and try and work beyond your pay grade. So when you fall into that pay grade, you solid. At that point, if I'm an E3 working as an E4, when I fall into an E4 category, I'm now up in the ante to work as an E5, being an E4. And when I fall into E5 category, I'll be solid because I've already been practicing, right? So it is a point system. They will look at your evaluation and your evals, and they'll be like, okay, you got education, because they do look at that. You got the volunteering thing down pat. What else? Like your work ethics, certain things. And then like E4s, you can get like advanced promotion. I think they call it like meritorious advancement. So you get mapped. So you don't, and then you have to do a test. But when you get mapped, you don't have to do the test, right? So because of your work ethics, they're gonna give you like an early promotion. They're gonna be like, yeah, you good to go. You got it. You know how to do your work. So we're gonna promote you early. So, but usually you do a test to advance. that's the regular standard. You do a test and you advance to the next pay grade and so on. But yeah, so it's a combination of things because you can't just do the test and then, oh, I'm gonna get promoted. If you're not promotable, they're not gonna promote you.
I'm not gonna lie, if we had to do a test to get promoted, we'll see a lot of E1s.
The army
But
doesn't have to do a test
to get promoted?
Yeah.
No. The only test or the only like system that we do to get promoted is when we have to go to the board. So we have like, all of your higher chain of commands, like the sergeant major, the first sergeants, all of that. Send you to the board and you have to like, study some regulations, study some questions, put on your uniform, and then they decide based on your performance at the board if you're promotable to go and build points to get the rank of sergeant. But from E1 to E4, it's automatic, especially if you don't get in trouble. If you get in trouble, then you get demoted and stuff like that. If you like get in trouble and you're flagged or anything like that, you're unable to get promoted and stuff like that. But it's automatic.
That's crazy. E1 to E4, E1 to E3, we don't do the exams, right? But moving from E4 to E5, you got to do an exam. And E5 to E6 exam, and then they're going to look at your whole eval and see what you got going on. And all of that combination, that's how you get promoted. Like, the competition.
E4 for us is automatic. And then everything from like E5 up to get that rank, then you have to start putting in some work, some points, go into the field, start doing some things and stuff like that. But from E1 to E4 is automatic. I came in as an E3 because I had some schooling and everything like that.
Same.
So that's how I ended up getting E4 sooner rather than later. But it took me 18 months. It would have taken me 18 months, but they didn't have any more waivers, so it took me a total of like 24 months. But it wasn't that bad because at that point we went to Korea. So that was kind of like my first little, like, I wouldn't call it a deployment, but it was like a rotation. I went to Korea last year, so it was very exciting in Korea.
I gotta ask y'all, what's the deployment like? Like, how do you guys travel? Yeah.
So it depends on the type of unit you're in, So my unit, we went to Korea last year. We went for 9 months. So I'm in Texas, so my base is like Fort Cavazos. So on my side of my unit, we went to Korea, but on the other side of the base, like the other, like brigades and everything like that, some of them go to Poland, some of them go to Europe, some of them go to Germany. I know like my other friend in AIT, she's Jamaican too. She is stationed in New York in Fort Drum, and some of them be going to Syria, Saudi Arabia. So it's like different like I would say duty stations go to different places. So me personally, I don't want to go nowhere where it's cold. Can't take the cold. I was so grateful for the time that I went to Korea, even though the day I landed, it snowed. The day I landed in Korea, full of snow. Everything. Oh God. 18 degrees, 12 degrees. I was like, yeah, I'm ready to go home. But that was in February, so towards like March, April, all right, it started to get warm. Yeah. I started to go outside a little bit more, so it wasn't that bad. And then towards the end, like I left 1 week before my birthday. So towards the end, like in October, it started to get back cold. So I'm like, yes, I want to leave now.
Yes. So wait, you guys travel on like an AMC?
We travel. I don't know what an AMC is, but we travel on a military plane. So
that's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is.
A regular plane and everything, and we just travel through there.
Okay.
It was long. That was my first like long flight, and it was connected. So I was like, ooh, because we stopped.
So is it just you guys on the flight or civilians?
What did you ask?
Is it just like service members only on the flight or civilians as well?
Only service members.
That sounds like a party.
And it was pretty boring.
Because I'm just imagine like everyone in my office on a plane going to Korea. We're gonna be talking, we're gonna be laughing. Some people gonna be sleeping, of course, but like I don't know.
That be in the States for
Aww.
9 months.
Yeah, oh
Like,
no, that 9 months, that's what I'm scared of, yo. I'm not gonna lie. I'm scared of that 9 months deployment. I'm scared of those long deployments.
like I was like, okay, now ready for come on my yard. I'm ready to come. I was hungry too. I'm like, I'm not eating good. I think I lost 10 pounds in Korea. I wasn't eating good.
Damn.
I was hungry. I mean, the Korean barbecue was wonderful. Like, there is some food over there, but
Mm-hmm.
you have to think about like just the restrictions that we had. We had a lot of restrictions over there.
Yeah.
Especially being in the military, like how long we could be off base for, how far we can go, when we
Right.
have to come back, curfew and all of that. So that kind of like dampened the fun a little bit. Not just a little bit, it did a lot. Because there was
Yeah,
a lot
I
of
feel
things that
you.
we
I feel
couldn't
you.
do.
Yeah.
So it's like on a Monday night where right now I could just jump in my car and say, all right, I'm going down here
Can't
for
do
an
that.
hour and I could come back. You can't do that there because you can't drive. So you have to take taxi, you have to take public service, transportation or everything like that. So that kind of like, so your fun time is really on the weekends. And if you're going to school or anything like that, they have to manage that all in one thing. But some people say I'm not tired of staying because for some reason I know I'm on God's strongest soldier list. Every time I do something, I just see that this is why you mustn't break the rules. This is why.
Yes. That's me too. I'm like, girl, the one time you step out and this one.
Yes, I have some friends sometime in Korea. They going outside all night and don't come back and curfew broke and all of these things. And I'm like, if you ever, Article 15, everything, you're just not friends. I'm just like, oh, I can't do it. I can't. Because for some reason, every time I even step outside the line, I'm like,
Trouble.
why? You didn't know that. I knew better. I knew better.
I don't risk it either because I'm like, Pusan dog, just stay put, yo. It's not worth it.
No, so I'm like, listen, you know what? I'm gonna take a little time, stay in my little room, go out on my weekends, do the things that I have to come back on time because I just can't take stress.
Yeah.
How has serving in the military influenced the relationships in your life? Like your personal relationships? Are you a mom? Are you a wife? How does it influence your friendships outside of military people and experiences?
Well, I'm not a mom as yet, but I have two nephews who are my pride and joy. And honestly, I try because I don't feel as if like I have as much time because I'm always like when I'm here, I feel as if okay, it's work, it's work, it's work, it's work. So whenever I do get time, I try to spend as much time with family, and I don't know for what reason, but I just feel as if like my family and I don't know, I think we got closer. I think especially in boot camp because there's a period when you don't hear from them, and then when you get that first call or that letter, and you're like, oh my god, y'all really care for me like that, like yes. When I remember in boot camp when my sister called me and my nephew said, Janelle, I cried, I teared up. I'm like, oh my god, I miss you. Like, yeah, so I just cherish them I just cherish them a lot. Um Especially the fact that in where I'm at, sometimes it does get lonely because you are interacting with people, but sometimes they're not your people. We're from different backgrounds. You don't like what I like. You're exposed to different things. I'm exposed to different things. Sometimes we can't relate. So when you're on that phone chopping it up with your people back home, you be like, yes, girl. And it's just a whole different vibe. It's just a whole different vibe.
Have you encountered any females in the Navy who are like single parents and who do the military like by themselves? For example, like I've seen in the Army where there's a lot of females that are single mothers, and it's very difficult for them, like just with daycare, how expensive daycare is. You would think like certain things would be cheap in the military.
Yeah.
Taxing us. they taking every dollar. They be taking
Yes.
every dollar. And sometimes I've seen like people struggle so much that they have to get out. They have to,
Mm-hmm.
transition back into civilian life because of not because they want to, but because it's so difficult trying to
And they
keep
don't have the
up with
help. Yeah.
everything.
For the most part, um, what's it called? I think it's called, the Navy has a program called Fleet and Family Service. So I think what they do is, especially for like single moms, I'm not sure of the in-depth detail because, like I said, I'm not a mom. But I think, especially like when you got to go on deployment, they'll cover your child for you. So I don't know if like they'll make sure that they have someone looking out for them. I'm not sure, but the Fleet and Family kind of cover that aspect. But personally, I know maybe two females who are single mother, and it's not easy. It's not easy for them, but I think it's important to have community and people who you can trust. Like, I think that is so goal, like in the military. Like, if you have a sister or a friend in the office that you can say, hey, can you watch so and so tonight? I'm trying to get this done. I have watch, I have this, that, and the third. If you have somebody that you trust, or a group of friends that you trust, and you can say, can you, like, I think that's important. And if you are somebody, even if you don't have a child, and you have like an experience, give a hand as well. Like, just give a hand and help out as much as you can. Like, I know it's not your child, but if you can, just do that. Just build a community. I think that would make a difference.
Yes, it makes a major difference. Even like linking up or getting together with other people that that have kids, and you could be like, oh, hey, can I leave my kid with your wife
Yeah.
or something, who is a stay-at-home mom or something like that. So not being afraid to like make those connections and actually like interacting with people. I think that's one of the things that our culture kind of has, where we talk to people. We like, hey,
Yes.
interact sometimes. I think that's what people are afraid to do, like interact and go out
That's
there,
true.
meet
That's
people,
true.
talk to people. And that's what you need to do. And I think sometimes the military kind of forces that, because hey, if I don't know you and you don't know me, and when you're going through MEPS and you have to talk to somebody about the process because you're going crazy, and be like, listen, I'm about to sign my life to the government for about 4 years. You feel the same way because I feel the same way.
Yes.
We're about to go to Korea. You scared? I'm scared too, girl.
That's facts. That's facts. It's like, okay, so we have a common interest here. Okay, let's go off this. Let's build on this. That's true.
Mm-hmm. And that's how you build those, tight connections. But like going back to like being a female in the Navy, for me, it I feel like the military is very male dominated. So
Mm-hmm.
I know for over here in the army, it's very male dominated. It's very like, oh, I can do this, and I'm God, and I can do this. How
Yeah.
do you manage that in the Navy? Like, is it that same type of dynamic? Do the males feel like they have a God complex and females can't do nothing and they can't keep up physically?
Um, I'm gonna be very honest. I have not experienced that. You do have some male who, of course, they feel as if they are that, but I feel as if there is a lot of females in the Navy. I'm not gonna hold you. Sometimes I'm like, this is such a female branch. I don't know. But like, there is a lot of female in the Navy, and I've never experienced like a male being sexist towards any of us. I've never heard stories of that. But yeah, and funny enough, there's a lot of female chiefs as well. So I really can't relate. I've yet to see that part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's probably a difference that I've seen so far with what you said, because right now I could count on my fingers how many females are in my like unit.
That's crazy.
In my unit, I can count on my fingers the amount of people who are in my troop, like my little platoon and stuff like that. And it's so
What?
it's yes, Like, and especially because the unit that I'm in is Cavalry Scouts, and they also have some infantry in there as well. So you won't
Mhm.
see as much females. There's females there who are infantry and who are Cavalry Scouts and all of that, but you won't see as many as you might have stated. Like some of them, I don't know. I when I went to Texas, I'm like, oh, this is male dominated for real because right now
Oh
half of my
wow.
friends are males, and I have a couple of female friends, but they're not a lot, and they drop like flies because sometimes the injuries, they have a lot of hip injuries. I never know hip injuries were so common up until I joined the military, so they get
I've heard that
morbid.
too. I've heard, all right. So like sometimes the Navy, they might have to like train with the Marines or the Marine train with the Navy. Like we go hand in hand. And I hear that whenever you get to like chosen or whatever, when they pick you to train with the Marine, there's a lot of hip injury. I did not know that. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I've heard that too.
Yeah, so it's like it's scary. For me, going back to like basic training and just having those calls and having those letters. When you actually, transition out of basic training and out of the like the training system and you went to like your first command and everything and started working your job, how did you stay connected with your family? Because it's long distance, you're in a different state, your family's in a different state. How do you keep those bonds? How do you keep those old friendships that you may have back at home? Still connected. You talk, hey girl, like what's up? Or, hey mom, hey sister. How do you manage that work life balance?
I want to say it. You have to be very intentional with it because, especially on on the weekends, I don't really work on the weekends, but I do a lot of volunteering. But you have to be intentional. Honestly, I have friends that I haven't spoken to in a long time. I'll be like, shit, I gotta call her. Like, I gotta call her. I gotta reach out. But you have to be very intentional with it because, like I say, you still need to keep that civilian aspect of your life. You can't just be military, military, military. Like, you gotta know what's going on the other side, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
I do try to keep that bond. One of my friends, me and her, like, we did this thing where, like, every 4 o'clock on Saturday, we calling each other. Like we
I
set the
love that.
alarm. We set the alarm and like when like 3:59 comes, she'll be like, Jay, you busy? I'm like, no, girl, I'm here. I'm waiting on the call. I was about to call you. And like we chop it up for like an hour or a half. Sometimes we don't really have much to talk about, especially if we're talking every Saturday, but we'll scroll on IG and be like, you see this? You heard that? And we
Yeah.
just burn through topics and like that's something I'm like, that's so nice. We gotta keep the bond. And that's my friend since high school, So
Yes, I
yeah.
love that. I find it sometimes difficult to keep connections, and I'm like, what I try to do is check in on, when I remember, and two, on like holidays, birthdays, and like, keep that call out of the blue and be like,
Yeah.
okay, let's catch up, and I'm busy. I feel like I'm a low maintenance friend. Like I don't really need much, but when we
Yes.
call, it's
Yeah.
like we never left. We picked right back up, and I just
Exactly.
love, I
Exactly. We
love
never
that.
left.
I
As for like
love those friendships.
family, I would say like the family group chat, man. That's where it's at because instead of you calling everybody, just call the group chat and we all have a conversation. And yeah, because I speak to in my closest are my is my mom, my sister, and my brother. We in the group chat and we call the chat and we just talk. Yeah.
Yes, I love that. I'm gonna
Yes.
start a family group chat. I think I have one, especially when I went to Korea. It's with my mom and my grandma. So anytime I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just do one call, so I don't have to hang up on mom and then call grandma, and then
Exactly.
because
Exactly.
grandma gonna be like, oh, you gonna call me, and my mom is gonna be like, mommy, I'm on the phone with grandma. Grandma, I'm on the phone with mommy. So I just call one time and just get it over with. They ask the same
Exactly.
questions, and I'm just like, okay, any different questions?
And
Um,
then I have like the big group chat with like my extended family, like my aunties, my uncles, and I don't really call that chat much, but we still know what's going on based on the conversation that's going on in the chat.
uh-huh.
So yeah, yeah.
What are some of the biggest misconceptions people have about life in the Navy?
Ah, biggest misconception. They say that we don't do work. I've heard that we don't do work. I'm like, what you mean? It's a military branch. Of course we got to do work. I've
Mhm.
heard. I don't know. I've heard what else? I don't know. I think the misconception that I get a lot is that um it's not just the Navy, but like maybe for military in general. Like I've heard, oh, you've joined the military, so my feminine attributes is just gonna disappear. I'm not gonna be that girly girl anymore. And I'm like,
Yes.
baby, don't let the uniform fool you. I'm still very much that girl. Like I'm this girl in uniform now.
I said that uniform. I'm very much that girl times
That
two.
girl. Still, exactly. So that's the biggest misconception. I'm like, ew, like, don't do that.
That
Don't
you
do that.
can't be. Yes, I'm gonna be in uniform and I'm going to be professional. I'm gonna be strategic. I'm going to be that combat, you know. But when I come out of that uniform, I'm definitely gonna be feminine, cutesy, very
Exactly.
demure.
And I think the military girls are the baddies. Like,
Yes.
I don't understand where they're coming from. I don't
I
get it.
love that for us. I love that for us. All right, so to bring the podcast to a close, we have one last question that
Okay.
I want to just give it that whole wrap up with. Okay, what's the best advice you can give someone who's looking to join the Navy right now?
Do it, do it, and utilize every benefit that the Navy has. Um, do it because you want to. Do it because of your why. You could be a single mom or a single dad, and I want to do this for my son. I don't think you will regret it. If you keep your why in mind, you will not regret it. Just be smart about your money, be smart about the way you carry yourself and your reasoning, and you will be solid. But so far, I have no regrets. There are good days and there's bad days, but it's not a bad career. That's how my sister, she gave me that little thing, and it's like, yeah, it's not a bad career. Good days and bad days, but
So people get mixed up about, because even in the civilian world, there's good days, there's bad days, there's good supervisors, there's bad supervisors, there's
exactly.
good bosses, there's bad bosses, there's times when you don't want to even come to work, but you still got to go to work if you're going to make that money. So I think people get so scared because, oh, it's a contract, oh, you're going to go overseas, oh, I'm going to get
Embrace.
deployed.
I would say
But
embrace all of it.
tell me
Embrace
how much you
all
could
of
pay
it.
to go to Korea. Tell me how much you would pay right now. I think my cousin,
Exactly.
he's in Japan.
That's why I signed up. I'm like, yo, if I'm supposed to go to Thailand tomorrow, imagine how much I'm gonna have to pay to go to Thailand. And they taking me just because I gotta work. It's just a work thing, you know?
Yes, I'm just
I get
like,
paid,
okay,
I go to work to travel.
even though I'm like, okay, yes, okay, 9 months is a little stretch. Maybe
That's
let's do
long. I even
six
go
next time.
the
Six
9 months
months.
is wild.
9 months is a little stretch, but definitely let's do six. Preferably even three army, but hey, I
Can
can
I ask you
appreciate the
something though?
opportunity.
Like when you go on a 9 months deployment and you come back home, how do you feel? Like you feel as if there's a disconnect?
I feel like, so when I came back, I had to get readjusted in my brain because
Oh my
honestly,
God.
being away, I did, especially being away from home. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the different time zone is what got to me because I'm really close to my family. So
Yeah.
having to like go throughout the day, and my mom has to probably wait up in the night to make sure she call me and we talk about certain things, or I have to wait up in the night to make sure I call her and talk to her. And at one point, my grandma in Jamaica was really sick, and I'm like,
Oh
oh my
my
God, she went in
God.
the hospital in August, and I'm like, God, please don't make she pass. Please don't make she pass while I'm in Korea because I won't be able to go. I'm like, God, please
Yeah.
control it. And, having to do that. And then as soon as I came back October 18th and she passed November.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
and I'm
So you
like,
had time with her?
no, I didn't. Because as soon as I came back from Korea, we had to transition. So they only gave us holiday block leave. So
Yeah.
December. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, so I called our family members to see how she was doing, and they said she was coming out of the hospital. So I'm like, okay, maybe, I have little time and stuff like that. But I'm grateful to God that He held her for so long up until I was able to go. Because then being in Korea and knowing I couldn't be able to go, that would be heartbreaking. So I think just the everyday life challenges, and then I didn't drive for 9 months, so having to get like back into driving, I was scared. I'm like,
Oh my God.
I was so scared to be on the road because I haven't driven for 9 months, and
Yeah.
I'm from New York, so it took me a long time to get my driver's license.
I know.
I didn't get my driver's license until I turned 21, and I was like, okay, I have to get it because I'm in Texas and I have to drive.
Yes.
And then as soon as I got it, I didn't even have it for long because I ended up going to Korea. I only had it for maybe like 6 months. And then I ended up going to Korea. So I'm like, oh my gosh, 9 months of no driving. I have to remember to put on my indicator. I have to remember to look in my rearview mirrors. I can't be on the highway. I'm scared. People driving like maniacs. So that was a challenge. And then just getting back into like life itself. Like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm home. Nobody can call me after 5 o'clock no more. Nobody can call me on the weekends no more. Like getting back into that groove. So I was so excited to be back home. I was like,
my God.
yes, I'm back in my life. Because when you're on the rotation or deployments or anything like that, you're working 24/7.
Right.
My first 2 weeks there, my first 3 weeks there, I didn't have no day off, Monday through Sunday. Monday through Sunday. Every day. And mind you, I was going to school. So I'm like, where am I going to find time to do my assignments? Or where am I going to find time to do this? Or where am I going to find time to do that? And a few little grades dropped, and I was stressed too. I was like, oh my God, my grades
Oh
dropping.
God.
And then I had to bring back up my grades. So just, it is a challenge to sometimes get back into the groove of things when you come back home. I had to move back into a new apartment, set up my apartment because, a lot of people give up their apartment because who's going to pay rent when you're somewhere for 9 months? So right. I'm like, getting that. So it's an interesting feel, but I had fun in Korea. I can say, besides from the 9 months and when I was like, okay, 4 or 5 months into it, all right, I'm ready to come home now. Yeah, ready to come home.
Over it. I've had enough.
Over it. Traveled. I went, I explored. They have a beautiful aquarium over there, a beautiful zoo. The food was good. You have to go out. I went into the city and all of that. And the army has programs where, when you travel with them in Korea, like you travel with the people on post, and they drive you there through a bus. You pay a fee. They drive you there through a bus, and you go to the attractions over there. So I have fun.
Ooh, yeah, that's nice.
And you travel with your friends. You get a group of people. You say, okay, they advertise where they're gonna go, what time they're gonna go, and everything like that. And then people who have already been to Korea, like on like just overseas assignments, they went with us. So they're like, oh yes, I could take you here. I could take you here. I could take you here.
That's so nice. I love that.
So it was great. It was wonderful. It was a great experience, and just overall, I loved it. I'll give it a 7 out of 10 because I was ready to come home.
I think you'll be ready irregardless.
Yeah, I was ready to go home. But I said if I was supposed to go anywhere else, I would definitely go back to Korea, but I would want to go back not on a rotation and not on deployment. I would want to go for an overseas assignment. I would go to Germany, but I would want to go in the time where it's warm. So maybe the time that I went to Korea, like starting February to about next February, to miss out on half of the cold season.
The cold. Okay.
Yeah. You gotta.
That's a plan.
But yeah. But thank you so much for joining us.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I hope you guys love today's episode. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, comment, and share, and make sure you go on J. Kendra's TikTok and all her socials, Instagram, Snapchat, everything.
Yes, guys.
I'm going to make sure to link it in the bio and everything like that. Thank you so much.